What's up, YouTube? It's me, the Artisan MC, and today I'm going to give you my review of Deadpool and Wolverine. Well, I got to see this tonight, and I felt myself a little constricted with giving my reaction because I didn't want to say anything to spoil any point in this movie. So I had to do a review right away just so I can get those thoughts out. Now, this movie has gone through a lot of challenges to get made in the form that we see it in. There was a lot going on behind the scenes between Ryan Reynolds and the writer and the director, Hugh Jackman, Disney, Marvel, everybody involved to try to fighten it out to make this movie what we got in theaters, and to keep it from being something else that would have probably been a woke piece of shit. And I say that with all certainty. Now, I will say this: is it the best movie in the world? No. And I will add that it never had to be. All it had to be was a Deadpool movie. That was it. To be what we have come to expect from Ryan Reynolds playing this character of Deadpool in two previous movies. That's all it had to be. And that's exactly what it was. The only difference this time is that it is under the Marvel Disney banner. That's it. But the jokes, the humor, the characterization, still Ryan Reynolds, still Deadpool. And I can appreciate the movie for that. The other thing that I can appreciate this movie for is being like a love letter or a send off to the Fox movies and the X-Men universe. And I thought that was a very good touch to this movie, to harken back and show you some scenes from behind the scenes of those early X-Men movies and how much fun and how happy everyone was to actually be on the set making those movies. And to understand that, yes, as fans, we may have rejoiced a bit that Marvel regained the rights to the X-Men characters so they can make X-Men movies. But understand that there was a lot of people and a lot of work put in over that time that Marvel did not have those characters. A lot of movies that we watch, some good, some downright terrible. But we watched all of them and appreciated being able to see our X-Men characters on the big screen in whatever form or fashion they showed up. This movie, to me, is the culmination of that universe, getting to say goodbye in a decent way and not just be snuffed out and disappeared without so much as a whimper or a wave goodbye to the fans. And that's who I think really won out in this movie. As much fighting as Hugh, Ryan, Paul have done against Kevin Feige and Bob Iger and Disney and Marvel, as much fighting as they did, they were fighting for us, the fans. The fans who have been shit on, kicked around, and pushed down to say, please eat the slop that we've thrown in front of you. This movie was kind of an answer to that, because it's probably the only character who could speak to it. The only character who can point out how shit Marvel movies have been, where the culture and the climate of superhero movies stands right now, and what they knew they were coming in to try to do. I can appreciate that. I wasn't expecting that in this movie at all, but I can appreciate that. And I'm grateful that I had that. Because make no mistake about it, this movie is for the fans. It's not for the agenda. It is legitimately for the fans. And never once watching this did I feel that the people making this movie had any disdain for the fan base. None. For what I can see that was in this movie, they did everything they could to tickle your geek pickle and get you to enjoy this. And for me, that was the right move. That was the 100% right move. It should not have ever been argued against. Now, with that, I will say this movie starts off with Deadpool on a quest, and his quest is to find Wolverine. So much so that he goes into the Logan movie timeline and digs up Logan's body. Now, that is a heck of a way to start a movie, but I will say that even with the healing factor burned out, I don't know. Maybe something could have came back. I don't know. It was macabre, but entertaining at the same time. So Deadpool does dig up the body of Wolverine from the Logan movie and does not find what he's looking for, put it that way, and gets upset. And you get the entrance of the TVA coming to apprehend Deadpool. Now, at this point, Deadpool knows who the TVA are. He knows who they are and why they're looking for him. But he doesn't want to go. He's not hearing that. And what you have is what Deadpool does good, which is make an entertaining opening credits screen. And I will say this one just took the cake because it was bloody entertaining just to get you in the understanding of what's going to happen in this movie. Like, oh my God, like, really? It was funny. It was gross. It was sexualized in a tongue-in-cheek juvenile way. It was funny in a pop culture kind of sense that you're getting this fan service. And it was just downright ridiculous in some senses. Right. But it was a good fight scene at the end of the day. So what you find out is that Deadpool has been, before this moment, down in the dumps. Right. Since the ending of the last movie, he is gone. He's used Cable's time travel device and jump dimensions, which is kind of not what that thing does. It's a time device. It's not a dimension hopping device. So that would be a little bit of a issue for me. But at the same time, in this movie, he uses it to jump dimensions and ends up jumping into the 616 universe to put in his application and his petition to join the Avengers. And when he is denied, he is in a slump. He's in a slump. He needs a regular job or something that makes it seem like he's doing something important with himself to try to hold on to Vanessa, who he's brought back and wants to hold on to that relationship. But it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. He's not going to be an Avenger. And so he decides to go and sell cars with Peter. Now, this part is hilarious, but also very touching if you have been a man that has been down on your luck and has lost that spark in your eyes that make you really want to go out and seize the day. He has become a wage slave. He's just working some regular job with fake hair stapled on his head, trying to be a decent person for Vanessa. And what you find out is he's miserable. He's absolutely miserable. I mean, aside from the jokes, he would work perfectly well sitting next to Arthur Fleck in the first Joker movie. They would work perfectly well together, riding on a bus together. They would, because he's depressed. He's not doing what it is he really feels and what his real skill set is. Now, the part that happens next, even though he's having a birthday party, the birthday party gets interrupted by TVA agents showing up outside of his door knocking. Right. Now, this is the scene that you've seen in the trailer, and you understand what's happening, that this is his first introduction to the TVA. And he is taken to the TVA and introduced to Mr. Paradox, who works for the TVA. And Mr. Paradox kind of insinuates an idea to Deadpool, letting him know what's going to happen, that his universe is decaying and disappearing on its own because it has lost its anchor character. Now, the idea of an anchoring character is interesting in a point, but I can tell it's put in here as a wink and a nod to the fan base and the audience about who was the main character in the X-Men franchise. And that's pretty much it. So, be it that Logan has died in a movie, that timeline and everything connected to X is just disappearing. And Paradox brings Deadpool here to let him know he doesn't want to wait for it to die his natural death. No, he has a machine, a device that he's going to use to just completely obliterate that timeline altogether in 72 hours. He's not going to wait for it to take 1,000 years or so. No, he's just going to get it over now. Now, what you get from Paradox is that something is going on in TVA where you have disgruntled workers, and Paradox being one of them, that doesn't think the TVA is acting the way it should. That it has gone pretty passive in recent times. And this ties back into Loki season 2 about what was happening with the TVA and the change of leadership that the TVA went through in Loki season 2. Now, Paradox does give Deadpool kind of the inclination that he's going to be a part of the Marvel Universe. Or he can go back to his dying Fox universe and disappear with him and his friends. But if he stays in the Marvel Universe, because that's where he is at that point when they bring him to the TVA, he will have to go by himself. None of his friends can come along. Now, that sets up an interesting little dilemma for Wade, being that the people in his universe at his birthday party are the only people he cares about. Those are the people that actually know him and at least like him. No one else. So he is remarkably unwilling to give that up. After listening and finding out what an anchor being is. He steals Paradox's, I'm forgetting what it's called right now. His little compact that helps him travel the time stream. And he starts going through the time stream and jumping dimensions looking for a Wolverine he can recruit and bring to the Logan timeline to take his place. Now, this sets up a bunch of cameos, a montage of cameos, which is awesome to me. Now, understand that there's a difference between time travel and there's a difference between dimensional travel. Right? And throughout this multiverse saga, it has not been done exactly well in Marvel. DC came close to getting it done correctly, but all of it is just making people tired of hearing about it. Okay. But what you get in this montage is Deadpool running up on very fan favorite versions of Wolverine. And I have to say, I was actually really impressed when I saw one that I wasn't even thinking about seeing in this. And it was the Age of Apocalypse Wolverine with one hand. I was not thinking that I would see that in here at all. I wasn't even thinking about it. And as soon as I saw it, I was excited. Like, oh my God, they put that in here? Now, that was just one. You saw Patch in Madripoor with the white suit and the eye patch on from the trailer. You got to see that one. You even got to see a comic book accurate Wolverine with how tall he's supposed to be, which was hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. But the thing that takes the cake, in a sense, was not finding the Wolverine he was looking for, but finding the one Wolverine before that that turned out to be Henry Cavill as Wolverine. Now, that was a fan moment right there. Like, oh my God, yes, that would work. It's a bit tall, but whatever. And it's played as a joke. He does get to drop a line in there. And there is a line from Deadpool dropped that speaks to Henry Cavill's plight at Warner Brothers and how he was just summarily dismissed as Superman. Deadpool gets to say something about that. And this is like one of those shots across the bow that you think like, oh, wow, he said that. Eek. But this is what this character is good for. This character is good for being able to be in his world and in ours at the same time and understand the conversations going on in both. Which makes it fun writing to me because I don't think Marvel itself, outside of a movie like this, would have the balls to even say something like that, to even try something like that. I don't think they would. But this movie made by this team, oh, they put it in there and they talked about it. And I'm appreciative for it because it's something that fans can hold on to, which is seeing Henry Cavill as Wolverine. Cool. Now, the story progresses when Deadpool eventually finds a Wolverine. And the Wolverine he finds is kind of a drunk and not looked upon well in the world that he's in. Yeah, everybody knows he's a Wolverine, but nobody likes him at all. They have no respect for him. Now, you find out why later on, but at the moment, Deadpool tries to convince this Wolverine to go along with him. And it is a hard sell. But this Wolverine is able to drink himself to death, which should be impossible with his healing factor, pass out, and gets drugged back to the TVA by Deadpool to find out that bringing that Wolverine there and putting him in the Logan movie will not save the universe. And Paradox doesn't want the universe saved. He doesn't. So he does what all villains will do. He takes the advantage and sends Wolverine and Deadpool into the void from Loki, the place where Elias lives and guards against the end of time. And this is where our story continues, where you find out more about this Wolverine, what went on in his world a little bit, but you also get the seeds of Wolverine and Deadpool actually having a fight, but also getting to learn about each other and trying to come to some understanding on what to do. Now, they are met by a character after they have their obligatory superhero throwdown. And it is bloody good. Yes, as a fan, I had been waiting a while to see something like this, because if you read comics, you know Deadpool and Wolverine don't necessarily like each other. They don't. But that's par for the course for Deadpool. Most people don't like him because he talks too freaking much. I mean, Deadpool irritates Spider-Man. And Spider-Man is usually really irritating people because he talks a lot. If Deadpool irritates Spider-Man, he's super annoying. And you can't kill him, which is aggravating as hell. So what you see in this fight between a person who can heal and a person that is functionally immortal is a knockdown, drag out, stab a minute fight between the two of them, because Wolverine is sick of Deadpool. He doesn't want to deal with him. But they have a good fight, and it is eventually broken up by the entrance of another character. And Deadpool is excited because he recognizes the character. And when that character finally lands and reveals himself, you find out that it is, in fact, Chris Evans. That Chris Evans is in this movie. Like, oh my God. Now, there's a little bit of a lead in for what's happening here. When this Chris Evans, Wolverine, and Deadpool are set upon by a band of people who look like they rolled out of a Mad Max movie. And Deadpool makes a joke about the Mad Max thing, right? All the way down to the person standing on a platform with a bunch of motorcycles tied together like horses coming in, and you get Sabretooth entrance played by Tyler May. It was cool seeing him again and seeing that Sabretooth. That Sabretooth takes issue with the fact that there's a Wolverine there, and they have a throwdown for a minute. Now, the one thing I'll say about this is that Sabretooth should be able to heal. Sorry. Same thing. Same thing as Wolverine. He should be able to heal. So, from there, we get the reveal of Chris Evans and what he is doing there. And Deadpool is all excited, and he's waiting for him to say it. And once he says it, he thinks it's going to all come together for him the way he wants. And Chris Evans' character yells, "Flame on," and flies into the air in a burst of fire. And you realize that it's Chris Evans playing Johnny Storm. That was classic. That was very classic to me. I laughed so hard seeing that, because Before Chris Evans played Captain America, he was Johnny Storm, and I liked his Johnny Storm. I thought he had the wisecracking down and everything, right? It was fine. And when he was announced for Captain America, I was really concerned, like, how's that going to work? He's a comic guy. I mean, comical. How's that going to work? Well, it turns out it works well. That as Captain America, he became an icon and a bigger star than he was when he came into the role. But one of his little lesser known roles was Johnny Storm. And this Johnny Storm, in a sense, meets his match in the form of Pyro. Now, the flaw here is that Johnny Storm, in effect, turns into fire, right? His body is fire all around him and everything. Pyro, the X-Man from the X-Men movies, same actor and everything. I'm forgetting his name right now, but he returns to play Pyro. Pyro takes out the Human Torch by absorbing his fire. That is not how Pyro's powers work. Pyro can control flame. He does not create it. He does not have any flame of his own. Pyro is the closest thing to a firebender that you have in the X-Men. That's all he does. Now, Johnny's fire, I don't think he can just snuff out like that or just take it away from him. But inevitably, he does. He absorbs the flame from the Human Torch, and the Human Torch falls to the ground unconscious in a way that he should be dead. But he's not. So the three of them are captured and taken back to the headquarters and the boss. And the boss being Cassandra Nova, played by Emma Corrin. I believe that's her name. Now, going back to this base, which is basically Ant-Man's dead body inside his suit, which is something that happened in the Old Man Logan comic, that you see Goliath having died in the middle of this state, and they just made roads and drove through because he couldn't shrink back down. He couldn't get rid of the body. So it's just laying out there in the open. This kind of harkens back to that. But what is more interesting is that at this base is a cameo, a literal bevy of other X-Men universe characters, X-Men Fox universe characters, all the way down to the crappy Psylocke that they had in X3, 2, either way. I was happy to see that. Most of the actors came back to play their roles. Even Azazel, Nightcrawler's father, is there, and I was hyped for that. Now, Juggernaut was a different person. Yeah, they couldn't get Vinnie Jones again. That's fine. Some of the other ones were a bit different, but seeing all those characters there gave me a warm one for those characters. It made it really nostalgic for the Fox universe of characters for some of the movies that actually kind of worked, or was cool to see these characters on the screen. Now, while at Cassandra Nova's base, Deadpool and Wolverine find out about Cassandra and what kind of BS she's on, and are able to escape miraculously from this base and not be eaten by Goliath. Because apparently Cassandra Nova and Goliath have a little bit of an alliance. She feeds him, you don't mess with him. Fine. Kind of like Nope, in that sense. Now, while escaping and on the lam, Deadpool and Wolverine meet up with a dog, and the dog is Dogpool. And they're introduced to a variant of Deadpool, and this one is Nice Pool. And it's basically Ryan Reynolds in the costume with his hair teased up like Hulk. I mean, not Hulk, but Thor from Endgame. And it's hilarious. It's hilarious because basically it's Ryan Reynolds acting against himself or somebody else in the Deadpool suit. And this Deadpool is just way too nice. He's a goof. Okay. He's a lovable goof. But regular Deadpool is in love with this ugly freaking dog that is Dogpool. And the scene that they're talking in, and he's letting the dog lick him in the mouth and then licking the dog. It's like, what the heck, dude? It was going a bit far for me. It's like, oh, yuck. Like, how many times do you have to do that on set? Anyway, Nice Pool is able to point Deadpool and Wolverine in the right direction because they have found out that in the void, there is a rebellion that the Human Torch mentioned, and Deadpool and Wolverine want to get to said rebellion. And Nice Pool gives them a vehicle and sets them on their way to go in search of finding. Now, on the way to finding it, there are some good scenes with Hugh Jackman delivering dialogue to Deadpool and then going in on Deadpool and his life and how he behaves and why nobody likes him. That Wolverine really just crushed Deadpool's little heart. And sure enough, he tells him, "Oh, we're going to fight now. I want to fight you." Like, and they have another bloody fight between the two of them because they are pissed, and it goes all night. Now, eventually, they stop fighting or pass out long enough to keep regenerating. And they are taken from this location to another location. And when they wake up, they find themselves in a cave and hearing footsteps approaching. Then the first person that walks in that Deadpool tries to kill, his katana blade is blocked by a side blade, and you get the reveal of Jennifer Garner's Elektra. Now, I was kind of hyped when I saw this, like, oh shit, it's Elektra. I tried to avoid information about this movie, but I had heard nothing about her being in this movie. So it was a surprise to me. And it was a good surprise in a way because I kind of liked her Elektra. Okay. I kind of like Jennifer Garner, kind of liked her Elektra. I didn't shit on it, just like I didn't shit on Ben Affleck's Daredevil. Whatever. Sometimes you're in movies that don't work. It happens. They're actors. But I like seeing that character come back. Now, the second character that rolls in, which was a total mind blown moment for me, was to see Wesley Snipes stroll in as Blade. And I lost my shit. I was clapping like a circus seal. Like, oh my God. Are you kidding me? You got Wesley's Blade strolling in like nothing. Now, that blew my mind, and me and a couple other people in the theater were really clapping and enjoying that. And it really made me miss not having a decent Blade movie. It really did. And there were lines dropped in the dialogue from Deadpool about that. Ooh, touchy. So exciting. Now, the next character that comes in is one that fans had rumored about and had been talked about for a while in Fox and never actually happened. But stroll in and there's a card flipped into the air and it just kind of hovers and comes back. And sure enough, you get Channing Tatum strolling in as Gambit. Like, I lost it. I laughed my ass off because he had an accent too. I was like, holy shit, I got Channing Tatum Gambit in this too. Like, oh my goodness. But the funnier part was Deadpool ripping on him that he didn't understand what he was saying. He couldn't understand what he was saying through the accent. That was hilarious. You got three characters right there that I think anybody would pay to actually see, but they got to see it in this movie. Fan service done in the best way. Internet rumors and internet hype and stuff that fans have always talked about. Here, these characters are right here. And the characters themselves talk about not getting a chance to say goodbye, not getting their last fight. That's some on the nose ass shit, especially when it's coming delivered from the actual characters and actors. They know what happened to their franchises, and they get to share some words on it. Ooh, talk about a fourth wall break. They ain't even have to look to understand, like, I know what you're talking about. I remember that story. Now, the last one of this new group that strolls in is the person that found Wolverine and Deadpool and brought them to this cavern. And it is Daphne Keene as Laura Kinney, X-23, from the Logan movie, all grown up. And I was happy to see her. Now, this spoiler was kind of ruined for me earlier this week or at the end of last week when I saw part of a trailer, or I saw the new trailer, and she was in it. The final trailer for Deadpool, she was at the end of it. And I was like, oh, that was really cool. But dude, you didn't need to put that in there. Everybody was going to see the movie anyway. You should have just left that alone and not even throw it in there. But the final trailer, I'm assuming, was the one that Marvel wanted to put out. And that's why they spoiled something like that. That X-23 was going to be in it. It had to be a Disney thing because at the time this trailer came out, we were suffering through the Acolyte, and her character had died in the Acolyte. So it had to be a Disney play, but they shouldn't have did that. I ranked that one up there being as a spoiler for a movie, ranking up there with the Spider-Man being in Civil War. That was spoiled. This was spoiled. And the only commonality between the two of them is Disney and Marvel. That's it. So seeing her on the screen at this moment, it didn't do as much to me, but I liked seeing her on the screen. I really did, because Logan was a very good movie. So I like seeing the character on the screen and acknowledging that she grew up. Cool. Now from here, these 6 people decide to band together to try to help Wade or Deadpool save his world, because their worlds are gone. And the TVA showed up to each one of their worlds and pruned them and sent them here to the void. And this is where they've been. So they see this as a chance to get out of here, at the very least, to help Deadpool save his world. It takes some convincing, but they agree to do it, and they agree to go back and fight Cassandra. They head back to the body of Ant-Man and make their way inside of the compound. And you get what I would liken to believe is one of the deadliest showdowns you might have ever seen. Because on this crew, you have Wolverine, Deadpool, X-23, Blade, Elektra, and Gambit, squaring off against the likes of Azazel, Psylocke, Juggernaut, a bunch of other Pyro, a bunch of other assorted mutants. And one team is good for killing. The other one remains to be seen. That was something I wanted to see. And the main thing I wanted to see was Wesley in a fight doing his moves. And he was kicking ass and taking names. Now, this is a cool scene to see, even with Channing Tatum dressed like Gambit, and what he was doing in there as Gambit was cool. It was really cool. It made me believe that he could actually get away with doing a Gambit movie because he moves good. But that's Magic Mike, right? So I was happy to see that. Now, Wolverine and Deadpool have a plan to get out of the void by way of Cassandra Nova, but not get killed by Cassandra Nova by going after the Juggernaut's helmet and being able to put the helmet on Cassandra Nova to block her powers. Now, it sounds like a good plan. It does. It goes kind of to shit, but it was a good plan. And eventually, Wolverine and Deadpool are able to go back to Deadpool's world to stop Paradox at the TVA from using the apparatus that he showed Deadpool earlier, the Time Ripper, to destroy Wade's timeline, his world. Now, at this moment, you get one of the scenes that is one of the funniest to me. And what you get is a portal opening up and Dogpool running out with goggles on, coming to help Deadpool. You also get Nice Pool showing up here. And right behind him, all of a sudden you see Lady Deadpool stroll out and a group of other Deadpools out there. Now, I was of the mind that Blake Lively was playing Lady Deadpool. I can't confirm nor deny that because she never took off her mask, and I missed it in the credits to see who was playing her. But that would be cool. That'd be hot to me if she was playing Lady Deadpool. That would have been cool. But this scene with all the Deadpools is not that they showed up to help Wade. Oh no. They showed up because Cassandra Nova uses them to take out people. So they all work for Cassandra Nova. And all these Deadpools are going to attack Deadpool and Wolverine. And this was a good fight. This is where the musical choice of Like a Prayer and some of the other stuff gets ruined by the trailer because, yeah, 2 versus 100 regenerating motor mouse. Yeah. Like a Prayer was an epic. Okay. I couldn't have thought of anything else better than that. Now, the fight goes down, and once it's over, Wolverine and Deadpool make their way into the complex to stop Paradox. And what you find out is Paradox cannot necessarily stop the machine. Cassandra Nova is here, and she is taking control of the machine, and she's going to use the machine herself to destroy all the timelines. And it's up to Wolverine and Deadpool to go down there and try to reroute this machine so she can't use it for the purposes that she's using it for. And it becomes a choice. Becomes a choice between Deadpool stepping into this machine that means certain death, or Wolverine stepping into this machine, where it means exactly the same thing. Now, it's a good scene here with Jackman talking to Deadpool about why he should do it, what he has to live for, what this will do for him. And you really buy it. You really do. But it is broken up at one moment by some silliness. And the roles are switched. And Deadpool is now in this reactor trying to bind these pieces of matter and antimatter together to stop the machine from working so Cassandra Nova can't use it to wipe out all these timelines. Now, what you get is a moment that should be reminiscent of Guardians of the Galaxy #1, where Peter Quill grabbed the Power Stone with his bare hand, but it was only through the touch of his friends that he was able to survive it and not get ripped apart. Kind of works that way here in Deadpool and Wolverine. While one of them needs to hold both ends of this matter and antimatter cable, which will delete them from existence altogether and possibly kill them. At the last crucial moment, Wolverine steps in, holds Deadpool's hand, and grabs the other strap, and they become the bridge for this matter antimatter power to course through. They are destroyed, but Cassandra Nova is stopped. In the machine, the Time Ripper is destroyed. Now, at this point, you're at the end of the movie, and Hunter B, I believe is B13, who's now one of the, I guess, heads of the TVA, shows up to reprimand and take Paradox into custody. And what you find is that Wolverine and Deadpool survive. And Wolverine is able to become the new Wolverine in the Logan movie. At this part, I am overly excited for this movie. It's the end. I feel like we've had enough. It is time to go, but I am already smiling about this movie and what it was. Now, Deadpool and Wolverine, and Deadpool mostly make a deal with Hunter B13 to help his friends, because through their actions, through the action of Wolverine and Deadpool, Deadpool's timeline starts regenerating and growing itself out, which means he has his own timeline within the MCU now. And what he asks Hunter B13 is to save his friends. Now, you don't know, she says she'll see what she can do, but you don't know if it worked or if it didn't. But the next thing you get is Deadpool being back at home, happy to see all his friends, Blind Al and everybody. And while they're sitting around enjoying this moment, you get the addition that X-23 has joined them, that she as well is now in this Marvel timeline, which is cool because you get to see X-23 and Wolverine on the same screen together, just enjoying some of life, which is a cool thing for me, right? But you get to the credits in the ending of the movie, which I enjoyed. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But the interesting part is what plays during the credits. And during the credits, you see behind the scenes videos from the X-Men movies, the mutant landscape movies from Fox. And that's when it really dawns on me that this whole movie was really a love letter to fans and also a love letter to all the characters and the actors that participated in the Fox mutant universe. Almost everybody I can think of got some shine in that end credit montage from clips to show that these were people and the work that they put into what they were doing. Yeah, Fox is no more. Disney took it over. But what those people worked on is still here, and they still exist. And what he showed in this is like, with a little bit of creative writing, you can get them back into the universe pretty easy. Pretty easy. So from there, the movie ends, and I can tell you, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I laughed. I laughed hard. There were touching moments. There were moments that really made me see that, damn, Hugh Jackman can act. And the story of a Wolverine is tortured. But also to laugh at and take thought of the life of Deadpool, going through what he's gone through, and at the same time, really just striving for respect from other people. Those are some good notes, and they were carried out well in the movie. It wasn't overly preachy. It didn't smack you around in the face and tell you better recognize me. No, just put it out there. The character said what it had to say, and it was poignant to the comic book world as well as the real world. And he walked away from it. And I appreciate that. Movie theater is not the place I go to be propagandized to. It's not. But I do go there for at least 2 hours of escapism and to watch something that is entertaining or good enough that I would enjoy spending that time awake watching it. And that's what it was for Deadpool and Wolverine. I enjoy watching this. There may have been a little bit of a slow point in the middle where they're going to find the rebellion, but that slow point gave you a breather before they got right back into the shit, right back into the action. And I appreciate that. I felt as a fan, a lot of my prayers were answered, especially seeing Wesley suited up as Blade again and dropping the line. There's only one Blade, and there only will never be but one Blade. Goddamn right. Nothing against Mahershala Ali, but Disney or Marvel can't get their shit together with Blade. And I'm perfectly fine with seeing an older Wesley Snipes as Blade. That did me real fine. So the movie was a love letter, a appreciation to the fans who like this stuff. And shout out to them with all the cameos in it. It worked. Was it the best story ever? No. Said that in the beginning. But it was a good story, and I appreciate that. So, thank you to Ryan Reynolds. Thank you to Hugh Jackman. Thank you to Sean Levy and Paul Wernick. Thank you guys for putting the love into this and making something that fans could enjoy and going the extra step in making some of the most ridiculous popcorn buckets ever seen. I appreciate all that. I enjoyed the movie. I hope it makes $2 billion. And if it doesn't, look, I can't please everybody. But for me, this geek, my heart is full. I feel good. And it's a good way to cap off that Thursday. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Like, share, subscribe, support the stream if you feel so inclined. artisanmc on Cash App and PayPal. And I will see you next time. Peace.